Welcome back to the Scotti-BYTE channel, and this is Scott. Today I wanted to discuss something that I often mention just in passing, and this time I've decided to entitle this one Incus Address Management. So my Incus container step-by-step tutorial shows you how to present containers with addresses on your main LAN, and we do so with something that I created called the Bridge Profile. I have 3 different tutorials on how to manage local DNS names using Pi-hole, and one of them even addresses Windows. So DHCP addresses are assigned by the gateway or router on your network, and DHCP Address Reservations make sure that the same IP address is assigned to the same device whenever it appears on your network. So DHCP address reservations are important for self-hosted applications in Incus, and they're also very important for things like the use of the Nginx proxy manager, which relies on addresses being consistent. So how does DHCP work? Well, DHCP works by assigning an IP address to the hardware MAC address of a device or computer that it sees on your network. And DHCP address reservations assign the same IP address to the same hardware MAC address every time the device shows up on the network. If you create a new Incus container and you want it to be assigned the address of an old Incus container you have deleted, you can change the MAC address of the new container to be that of the old container, provided you made a record of what that MAC address of the old container was before you deleted it. And the command to accomplish that is incus config set, and we're going to say the name of the container is test, and then we set volatile.eth0.hwaddr, and then we indicate the MAC address of the container. So the advantage of this is that allows that container to have the same address that the old container had, because since it has the same hardware MAC address, your router will assume it's the same device. So you never want to have a duplicate hardware MAC address on the same network, and in fact, Incus will not allow you to do so if you have another container on the same server that you're trying to set a duplicate MAC address on. So I created a script to help you document your Incus container name, your IP address, your MAC address, and DNS name. And here's a little bit of a look at what it looks like. It mentions in the first column what the name of the Incus container is. The second column is the IP address of ETH0, which is the primary Ethernet device inside of a container. It indicates the MAC address of that particular container. And then if there's a DNS name out to the right, it specifies the DNS name. So this is really helpful if you have containers that are missing DNS names. You can go out and add them later. Plus, something really great about this script is that you can use it to keep a record of what all of your settings are. So let's go take a look at how to create this script and exactly how it works. Here I am on one of my Incus servers, and if I do an Incus list, you'll see that the list lists out all of the IP addresses, the name, the state of the container, and whether it's a container or a virtual machine. So all of that's really great, but I wanted something a little bit more succinct for my purposes. Let's go ahead and edit a script file that I'm going to call list-containers.sh, and I'm going to edit this with the nano editor. Next, I'm going to paste in the contents of the script file, which you will see in the show notes, and then I'm going to do a Control-O and Enter to write the file out, and a Control-X to exit the nano editor. In order to be able to execute a bash script, we need to give it execute privilege, and so I'm going to do a chmod +X on list-containers.sh. My script has one dependency, and that's the program JQ, which is the JSON query program. So I'm doing a sudo apt install JQ with the -y so that it does not prompt me. In order to run the script, I can just do a /list-containers.sh. If you have watched my tutorial entitled High Availability Pi-hole and Local DNS, you know that I use VRRP to have multiple Pi-holes for higher redundancy. And so here in this listing from the script, you'll notice that I have two lines that indicate Pi-hole main, and the first one is the IP address of the Pi-hole main, which is 172.16.1.6, whereas the second one is actually the VRRP address of 172.16.0.10. And then there's some applications here that apparently don't have a local DNS entry. Here's one called Public IP Proxy, and you see off to the right-hand side here, it says no DNS name, letting me know that I need to go out and create a DNS name for it. And here I have SeerXNG, and it has a DNS name of SeerXNG. However, there is a second entry for SeerXNG, and this is for its VRRP or Virtual Redundancy Routing Protocol address, and it does not have a separate DNS name for it. If we scroll up to the top, we can see that we have headers for the name of the Incus container, the IPv4 address of the Incus container, the MAC address of the Incus container, and then its corresponding DNS name. You might want to cut and paste this information and put it either in your Joplin notes or in your Hoarder notes, Hoarder, which I recently covered on a presentation about 2 or 3 presentations ago. The other option that you have is you can go ahead and call the script, and then you can redirect it over to a file. In this case, I'll redirect it to output.txt. And then that way, if I do an ls, I always have output.txt here, and I can always cat output.txt to see what the settings were at the time that I ran the script last time. So in summary, documenting your Incus containers and their assigned addresses is something very important to do. And making sure that the addresses of Incus containers have fixed DHCP address reservations is a best practice for your self-hosted applications. And local DNS is a best practice for accessing and maintaining your self-hosted containers rather than having to memorize IP addresses. And Pi-hole is a very easy to use application to maintain your local DNS names. Anyway, that's it for today. Please subscribe and like to the channel, and don't forget to hit your notification bell, and we'll see you next time.